AmazeSphere presents information related to the most brutal and unthinkable actions of humankind in today's video. Before we begin the video, if you don't want to miss out on even more interesting and amazing videos, be sure to subscribe to my channel and give this video a like. Imagine being trapped in darkness for 24 years, locked away by the very person meant to protect you. This is the horrifying true story of Josef Fritzl and his daughter Elizabeth. Josef Fritzl was born in Austria in 1935. To the outside world, he appeared to be an ordinary husband and father, but behind closed doors, he was a true monster. In 1984, his 18-year-old daughter, Elizabeth, disappeared. Her family believed she had run away. In reality, she was being held captive in a hidden basement beneath their home. Fritzl had built a secret, soundproof dungeon. He lured Elizabeth inside, locked the door, and she would not see daylight for 24 years. Over the years, he subjected his daughter to constant abuse and terror. As a result, she gave birth to 7 children, 3 of whom grew up in the basement, never knowing the outside world. 3 others were raised by Fritzl and his unsuspecting wife. One newborn tragically died due to lack of medical care. After the tragic death of one of the babies, Elizabeth fell into despair. She had attempted to send out several letters pleading for help. One of these letters was secretly carried out by one of her children. In it, she described her dire situation and begged for rescue. This letter would later play a key role in the investigation. In 2008, one of the basement children became seriously ill. Elizabeth pleaded with her father to take the child to a hospital. Joseph, fearing for the child's life, agreed. However, doctors were suspicious and demanded to know the mother's identity. When Joseph failed to provide clear answers, the hospital insisted that the mother be brought in for further questioning. Joseph had no choice but to bring Elizabeth to the hospital. Doctors began questioning her, and she finally revealed the horrifying truth to the police. She detailed her 24 years of captivity, the relentless abuse she endured, and the grim conditions in which her children were born and raised. Josef Fritzl was arrested and charged with multiple crimes, including murder, rape, enslavement, and false imprisonment. In 2009, he was sentenced to life in prison with a minimum of 15 years before parole eligibility. During the trial, Fritzl initially denied many of the charges, but later confessed to all of them. The court found him guilty of murder due to the infant's death and sentenced him to life in a special psychiatric prison. Today, Fritzl remains incarcerated in Austria. Reports suggest that he has become physically and mentally weak and has expressed regret for his crimes. However, the trauma he inflicted on his victims will never be forgotten. Elizabeth and her children have assumed new identities and are working to rebuild their lives. Her incredible resilience and strength have made her a symbol of survival. The case of Josef Fritzl remains one of the most horrifying crimes in modern history, a chilling reminder of the darkness that can hide behind closed doors. If you or someone you know is a victim of abuse, seek help. There is always a way out. This event looks even more bizarre and terrifying than the previous one. On June 10, 1991, 11-year-old Jessie Dugard went missing while walking home from school. This event marked the beginning of a mystery that would shock the world. For 18 years, Jessie was held captive by Philip and Nancy Garrido. Beneath the facade of a seemingly quiet family was a dark and terrifying secret. Philip Garrido, a man with a history of sexual offenses, and his wife Nancy were responsible for one of the most horrifying kidnappings in history. After abducting Jessie, they kept her hidden in their home, isolated from the outside world. But Jessie was not just a prisoner. Over the years, she was manipulated, controlled, and forced into a life of isolation. The Garridos even went as far as changing her identity and restricting her access to the outside world. Philip and Nancy Garrido also manipulated Jessie into having 2 children with Philip, who were kept under their control. Jessie, along with her children, lived under their rule, completely isolated. However, in 2009, at 29 years old, Jessie was finally freed. One day, while out in public with her captors, she made the courageous decision to ask for help. A simple conversation with a social worker led to her rescue. The Garridos were arrested, and their horrific crime was exposed. Philip Garrido was sentenced to 431 years in prison, while Nancy received a 36-year sentence. Their capture revealed the depth of their depravity. Philip even tried to justify his actions, claiming that God had instructed him to kidnap Jessie. Despite the horrors she endured, Jessie Dugard became an inspiration to many. Her story serves as a reminder of the fight against child abductions and the strength of survival. Jessie also gave birth to 2 children during her captivity, both raised under the same manipulative control. However, after her release, her children were safely placed in care. Jessie Dugard's story is one of unimaginable strength and resilience. It reminds us that even in the darkest times, there is hope for recovery and justice. Remember Jessie's story. Report any suspicions. Together, we can make a difference.